Hey, this is Mike with Keller Williams Real Estate. Reason why I'm doing these videos is because all my emails that I've been doing once a week have been uh, I'm just having less and less time to do those. So hopefully, with this intent of these videos is to make sure that I give you more information than I can within those 2 to 3 paragraphs that I've been usually typing up. So usually with these videos, or what my intent here with these videos is to first uh, most of my day is spent in the mornings and the weeks is doing a lot of research, whether that's looking at data in terms of news articles as well. And my intent here is to provide my own little analysis of what my perception is, and based off of my background, my professional background. And hopefully, with these intent is you come out of after watching these videos. Just a little glimpse, or hopefully a huge glimpse, of what's going on within the real estate market. So let's get to it. When I first begin, I'm going to make sure that I'm going to be starting off as a macro aspect, which is the big picture, and then we will end up at the end of the conversation with just maybe looking at the micro aspect, or a few suburbs, blocks, or just a city or two within the state of Michigan. First and foremost, excuse me. In terms of, a lot of questions are asked, and usually the question I'm sure to a lot of realtors is, how's the market doing? And my response is, well, what type of market? Where at? What city? What type of home? Is it residential, commercial? So, answering a question with a question is not always the greatest response, but I mean that with the intent of making sure that, look, there's many, and I'm sure you already know this, is that there's many caveats, there's many realms within real estate, right? There's commercial and then there's residential, but not only residential, there's a lot within that area too, and also commercial as well. But in terms of residential, and we'll focus mostly on this conversation about residential, is that based off of 4 days ago, there's an article that came out, was labeled as "Home Prices Up 8% as Supply Fell 22% to the New All-Time Low in July." This was according to Redfin. And according to them, the Reader's Digest version of what you'll read within there is that it's close to 22% of inventory is completely down within a nationwide aspect. So macro aspect, again, we got to keep that in mind. Nationwide aspect, you're seeing 22% of inventory compared to last year. What that means is that there's more homes, or there's more buyers than there are homes. And we'll dive a little deeper at the end, towards the end of this video, and I'll give you an example of how that looks. But a little exception to what we're talking about right now, and that's going to be a comparison between Northville and Canton, a suburb within Northville, and then a suburb, suburb within Canton. So overall, you're seeing a 22% decrease in inventory, with a 4.9% in July from the year. So home sales were up 4.9% in July from a year earlier, which that's a sharp improvement from June's drop off of 13%. So what that means is there was an increase in a bump in sales, but that we're still underwhelmingly low on inventory, right? So there's more sales that were produced in July, which is a great indication that how strong our real estate market has been, especially with what's going on within the past few months. And that says a lot. I mean, our real estate market has been super strong, just based off of the law of supply and demand, as well as there is an indicator too, is that pre-pandemic, there was a major reason why it was so strong, not only because of supply and demand, but most homeowners were not worried about paying their mortgage, and which means that it essentially, it's, you look at, was it the housing market was increasingly robust going into the pandemic with households debt. The household debt was the most important part of that aspect. It's the household debt was the lowest it's ever been in 40 years. So keep that in mind. So before pandemic, we were having such a strong market because of the law of supply and demand, but then also you have, again, the debt ratio was extremely low. So all homeowners weren't essentially worrying about their mortgage, or most homeowners were not worried about their mortgage. So in that scenario, in a nationwide aspect, you can see that, right? So that's the reason why our real estate market throughout the months, especially during COVID-19, during the pandemic, has held as strong as it has, especially compared to the economy, just because of there's many smaller indicators within there too, but also you have low interest rates too, which is super important right now. There are so many different things that are diving a little deeper into that to lead into the output of allowing the real estate market to be as strong as it is now. So hopefully at the end of this, we'll kind of talk about what's going on in the future, or what may happen in the future, based off of the data and the analytics, and based off of what other professionals are saying as well. But prior to that, on the macro aspect, as a Reader's Digest version, I'm trying to be as fast as possible, because I know I'm not going to just try to talk your ears off, but try to condense everything as much as I can. We can dive a little deeper if we need to. So in terms of a micro aspect, now the law of supply and demand does exist. So not all suburbs are created equal. Not all homes are created equal. And if you do take a look at one residential area compared to the other, whether it's a 5-bedroom, 4-bedroom, regardless of what that is, all areas are a little different. And you have to keep that in mind. And the reason why I mention that is because I give you the example of a local suburb within Canton, and I give you the example of a local suburb in Northville. Both of those scenarios are unique and different, and yet the same concept, because they're only miles away, but they could be, but they're also unique in their own way. So, and the reason why I mention that is because you see the suburb in Northville with, over the past 365 days, 12 homes have only been on the market within 0.25 miles of where I dropped the pin, essentially. And so you see within that 0.25 miles, you see only 12 homes being put on the market over the past year. And comparatively, when you drop another pin in the city of Canton, in a specific area, mostly kind of towards new builds and around that area, you see 50 homes being bought and sold within the city of Canton around that area, towards the new build situation, which there are very, very big pockets of new builds around the area. Canton, Northville, South Lyon, Brighton, you go down the list, in almost every city, you're going to be seeing some new builds, especially within Wayne and Oakland County. But however, you compare those two and you see that, yes, there is limited homes being put up for sale within the city of that section of Northville. And then you also see it in Canton where, yes, there's homes that are being put on the market at a faster rate. What that means for you as a buyer is that you have to understand that, school districts are super important for you, or if it doesn't, then it isn't. But as a lister, you have to understand, or as a seller, you have to understand, hey, look, you may be competing with your neighbor. So, price is important. To the lawn care of your home is very important, or how you upkeep the home. The rule of thumb is that, hey, look, if your lawn is kept and trimmed and nicely and mulch, just some basic mulch, which is very inexpensive, around your home prior to listing the property, it will give a huge indication and actually increases your sale by 7%, FYI, and that's according to I can look up the source, but essentially, when you do have that upkeep if you are being in a competitive market in terms of selling the inventory or selling your home, you have to compare. You have to make sure your hedges are are put together, well, trimmed, and then your grass is cut. And then just to make sure, that's a huge indication of, hey, what's going on the inside of your home, and I'm sure it's going to be nice and neat, just like your grass. So hopefully that's super helpful. We can dive a little deeper on what's going on within the marketplace, but I kind of keep this as much as I can as concise as possible and just kind of rattle off some information that may be helpful to somebody out there. Otherwise, I really appreciate the opportunity to be researching for you, but also working with you. So if you have any questions or concerns, you can always reach out to me. My email is m.perales@kw.com, or you can always reach me at 248-289-9736. That's about it. I appreciate the time. Have a great day, guys.